What if I told you Tampa Bay is technically a seller's market, but more than half the homes that sold needed a price reduction, and nearly half of all buyers received some form of seller concession? Confused yet? Good, because today we're separating the real Tampa Bay housing market from the headlines. I'm Joe Richards with the Richards Experience, and this is your August 2026 Tampa Bay Real Estate Market Report. Let's get into the numbers and, more importantly, what they mean for your next move. So before we start, one important clarification. This August update is based on the latest second quarter 2026 Tampa Bay report for single-family detached homes, covering the market activity through July. So these are not August and only sales figures. They are the latest quarterly statistics showing us the direction of the Tampa Bay market as we move through August. So is Tampa Bay still a seller's market? Here is the first surprise. Tampa Bay had approximately 3.2 months of housing supply, and every single price range remained classified as a seller's market. Typically, fewer than 4 months of inventory means sellers still have an advantage. But before every seller watching this starts adding another $50,000 to their asking price, slow down. Because this is not the market where you can put a sign in your yard, name your dream price, and wait for 12 buyers to fight in the driveway. This is a selective seller's market. The best positioned homes can still perform very well. Overpriced or poorly presented homes can sit, reduce, and eventually lose leverage. So we still need strategy. Home prices, well, the median Tampa Bay sales price reached approximately $425,000 during the second quarter. Now that was up about 1.2% compared with the second quarter of 2025. So despite talk about a major housing crash, this report does not show one. Prices were relatively stable and slightly higher year over year. But stable prices do not mean every homeowner gained 1.2%. Real estate is extremely local. Your results depend on your neighborhood, property type, price range, condition, insurance, considerations, and competition. The $425,000 number tells us what happened across the broader market, and it does not automatically tell us what your home is worth. Now, the sales activity. The second quarter home sales were down only about 0.6% compared with the same quarter last year. So year to date, sales through July were down approximately 1.4% from 2025. That is a slowdown, but it is not a shutdown. Homes are still selling. Buyers are still buying. The difference is that buyers are more careful, monthly payments matter more, and homes have to earn their attention. A buyer may love the kitchen, pool, and location, but if the roof, insurance, payment, or asking price does not make sense, the buyer may move on to the next home. Now, days on market. We get to one of the most important numbers. The median time on market rose to 46 days, which was 6 days longer than the previous year. Now that's, about a 15% increase. And at first glance, 46 days may not sound alarming, but that overall number hides two completely different experiences. Homes that sold without a price reduction had a median market time of only around 10 days. Now, homes that required a price reduction had a median market time of approximately 115 days. Look at that. 10 days versus 115 days. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between putting the home on the market and potentially being under contract before your next mortgage payment, or spending nearly 4 months cleaning for showings, rearranging your schedule, and asking, why hasn't anyone made an offer? Price reductions required 115 days. So, the overpricing problem. Here's the statistic every homeowner needs to hear. The report estimates that 64 out of every 100 finalized listings were initially overpriced. That includes homes that failed to sell and homes that eventually sold only after reducing their price. Only about 36 out of every 100 finalized listings were considered correctly priced from the beginning. Overpricing is not a marketing strategy. It is usually a delay strategy. Sellers sometimes say, let's start high. Buyers will always make an offer. The problem is that many buyers do not make an offer. They simply skip the house. And when buyers see multiple price reductions, they may start wondering what is wrong with the property, or how motivated is the seller and how motivated have they become. So the price reduction penalty. More than 52% of the homes that sold during the second quarter required a price reduction. Those reduced price homes received a median of approximately 90.5% of their original asking price. Homes that sold without a price reduction received a median of 100% of their original asking price. According to the report, once an overpriced home finally reached market value, sellers still experienced an additional negotiation penalty of around 2 percentage points. Why? Because time changes that conversation. A brand new listing creates excitement. A listing that has been sitting on the market for months creates questions and gives buyers more confidence to negotiate. The first week matters most. The reports show that the first week provides the highest probability of selling and achieving the strongest percentage of original asking price. It recommends addressing pricing before approximately day 8 if the market response is weak. That does not mean every home must sell within 7 days. It means the early response gives us valuable information. Are buyers scheduling showings? Are showings producing offers? Are buyers viewing the home online but not visiting? Are they visiting but choosing another property? The market gives us this feedback very quickly. The mistake is ignoring that feedback for 30, 60, 90 days because the seller is waiting for the right buyer. So, full price sales are still happening. Now for some good news for the sellers. About 25.6% of all second quarter sales closed at 100% or more of the original listing price. And those properties achieved that result in a median of only 7 days. So yes, strong results are still possible. But they generally happen when price, condition, presentation, marketing, and buyer demand line up from the beginning. You do not create urgency by simply listing a home. You create urgency by making the home look like one of the best opportunities in its competitive price range. So buyer opportunities, where are they? Well, buyers, this section is for you. Sellers contributed concessions or closing cost assistance in approximately 49% of the transactions. That figure increased from the previous year. The median concession amount across the market approximately $10,000, although the amount varied substantially by price range. That could help a buyer with closing costs, prepaid expenses, a temporary interest rate buy down, repairs, or other negotiated terms, depending on property and loan structure. This does not mean every seller will hand you $10,000. No. But a fresh, correctly priced home with multiple offers may provide little negotiating room. But a home that has been sitting, reduced, or needs improvements may offer a very different opportunity. Options to negotiate for a buyer will include closing costs, rate buy down, repairs, price, home warranty. So, here's a little disclaimer. Any concession must meet the buyer's loan program requirements and be negotiated as part of the contract. So what should sellers do? Sellers, here is your August game plan. First, price against the home buyers are comparing you with, not against the amount you hope to receive. Second, prepare property before it goes live. Do not use your first 2 weeks on the market to discover that the photography, landscaping, paint, or presentation should have been better. Third, launch aggressively. Your strongest opportunity is often at the beginning while the listing is new and buyers are paying attention. And fourth, agree on the adjustment strategy before the listing. Know what showing activity, buyer feedback, and offer activity will trigger a change. A good pricing strategy is proactive. It is not an emotional reaction after the listing has already gone stale. Now, what should buyers do? Buyers, do not assume that seller's market means you have no leverage. You may have opportunities to negotiate, especially when a home has been on the market longer, needs repairs, has reduced its price, or faces strong competition from other available listings. But do not confuse negotiation with throwing out random low offers. The best strategy is to understand how long the home has been listed, whether it has had previous listing periods, how many times the price has changed, what nearby homes actually sold for, what repair, insurance, and financing issues may affect value, whether the seller has a deadline or competing offers. The strongest offer is not always the highest offer. There's always terms, financing, inspection, structure, timing, and certainly those all can matter. So the verdict, what is the August 2026 Tampa Bay market verdict? It is still technically a seller's market because inventory remains limited. Prices are stable and slightly higher year over year, but buyers have more choices, more time to evaluate some properties, and meaningful opportunities to negotiate concessions. The winners are not simply buyers or sellers. The winners are the people who understand the numbers and respond to them early. For sellers, that means pricing and presenting correctly from day one. For buyers, that means identifying where the leverage is and negotiating with evidence instead of emotion. Every Tampa Bay neighborhood and price range performs differently. A $350,000 home in Pasco County may face a completely different market than a $900,000 home in Hillsborough or Pinellas. So before you base your decision on a national headline, get the numbers for the property and area that actually matter to you. I'm Joe Richards from the Richards Experience. For a personalized home value and market position review or a buyer strategy consultation, contact me using the information below. And remember, do not chase the headlines. Understand your market. So like this video, subscribe for the next Tampa Bay Market Report, and comment below. Are you seeing more price reductions in your neighborhood? I'll see you in the next video.